Good evening again. Next up, we have Designing and Creating a Faux Leather Bag with Nina Russell.
Have you ever seen something in a store or online and thought to yourself, I could probably make that? Well, that's what led me to my project. With my college journey starting in the fall, I had been searching for a stylish, functional shoulder bag that I could bring with me on campus, one that could fit my computer, my books, and anything else I may need. I found multiple bags that I fell in love with, but I ran into a small problem. These bags ranged from around $2,000 to $5,000, and it's safe to say that I did not have the money for such a big investment. And at this point, I already had the weird thought that, how hard could it be, and I could probably make that. So I began my bag making process. My mom has a sewing machine at our house, and so I grew up having some fun with it and designing and attempting to sew my own clothes and accessories. And although they definitely were not wearable or pleasing to the eye, I can't see. Okay. Although they definitely were not wearable or pleasing to the eye, using the sewing machine taught me the basics of the machine and sewing in general. Also considering our 7th grade sewing art block with Mr. Smith, I had grown pretty comfortable with the sewing machine and handling light fabrics. But with this project, I wanted to incorporate faux leather, so I'd have to learn how to use tougher fabric and a heavy-duty sewing machine. I met up with my mentor, Mr. Smith, and he walked me through exactly what it would take in order to make my bag. And this is when I realized that making a bag would be a much harder process than I first imagined. But I was not going to give up yet. So we found a wonderful heavy-duty sewing machine, which is shown on the bottom left, and I began making my bag. So the first step was designing it. I drew inspiration from the multiple bags that I liked from earlier and took my favorite aspects from each into the design of my bag. Some things I wanted to make sure I included were an overall box shape, a no zipper opening, exterior zippers, unique pockets, gold embellishments, and fringes. So my final designs are shown on the left image and the middle image, and as you can see, my bag doesn't really follow the designs, but these are the ones that I would turn to when I forgot my plan for my bag. So now that my bag was all planned out, I headed to the store and gathered my materials. I always went to the store with no specific list in my mind, but rather just grabbed random things I thought would be useful while I was there. And that made me have to go to the store multiple times a week or even in a day, which I definitely don't recommend because that took a lot of my time. But overall, the main things I used were canvas fabric that Mr. Smith had given me for my templates and patterns, 2 yards of exterior fabric, 1 yard of lining fabric, scissors, an iron, pins, buttons, stuffing, a tape measure, markers, hooks, buttons, zippers, and a seam ripper, and many more things that I cannot remember. So for my fabrics, I decided on a pearl white faux leather for my exterior and a cotton pink fabric with brown polka dots for my lining. So to begin cutting, I began by using the canvas fabric that Mr. Smith had given me, and I started cutting and testing out what kind of measurements and sizes I wanted for my bag. What I would do was just cut random squares and then pin them together and turn them around to kind of understand what my bag would look like once I used the real fabric. And once I was satisfied with my patterns, I used those patterns to cut out my faux leather. My final measurements for my exterior bag were 16.5 by 12 inches for the front and back, 12 by 8 inches for the side pieces, and 16.5 by 8 inches for the bottom piece. And I made sure to include a 1-inch margin all across, just so I would have an easy line to follow while I was sewing, and so all the lines would be seamless and clean. So to sew my bag, I decided to use a basic bag making technique where you sew all of the exterior inside out together, and then flip it around so that there'd be no loose fabric sticking out. And then I would attach the inside of the lining to the inside of the exterior and then sew those together along the top. Then I would bend over the margin of the exterior that was left over into the lining fabric so that the top of the bag would be seamless and clean. But before I could put together the exterior parts, I decided to go ahead and start with my exposed zippers that I had wanted. I used a exposed zipper pocket method that I had found in a book that Mr. Smith had lent me, and I started cutting away. I cut a slit into my exterior fabric, and then I inserted the zipper, which I taped into it, and I attached some pieces of my exterior fabric onto it and sewed it on. After that, I sewed on pieces of lining fabric to act as the back of my pocket, which you could see in the top right picture, and then I sewed that into my bag. After that, I decided that I wanted kind of a fun shape on the outside of my bag, so I cut that and sewed that into my bag. Later, I would add some gold buttons and some scrap fabric to add little character and uniqueness to my bag. So after that, all of my exterior pieces were done. I used the bag making technique, which I had mentioned earlier, and I sewed everything inside out, which you can see in the left picture. After that, I turned it around, and now the exterior part of my bag was done. Next was the lining. I used the same templates I had used for the exterior fabric, but for this, I shaved off 1 inch on all sides, just so the lining would be smaller than the exterior. For one side, I decided to add my computer panel to fit my computer, and so I double-lined pieces of the lining fabric and sewed that onto one side of my lining. On the other side, I decided that I wanted a zipper pocket, like on the outside, and 2 mini pockets to include stuff like my charger, my pencil case, lip gloss, AirPods, and anything else I might need. For my zipper pocket, I used the same method I had used for my exposed zipper on the outside, and this ended up working much better because one, it was lighter fabric, and 2, this could be ironed, whereas my faux leather, I would later realize, could not be ironed, and it would just cause my leather to shrivel up. But that was okay, because I didn't actually use it on my bag. This is what my lining looks like when everything is filled, and as you can see, it's very spacious, and it fits a lot of stuff. So now all my pieces were done, and I put it together. Using the same method I had mentioned earlier, I inserted the inside of the lining fabric into the inside of the exterior and sewed it along the top. After that, I took the leftover margin from my exterior fabric and folded it into my lining and then sewed that along. I don't know if you can understand that, but you could kind of see it on the rim of this picture. And now the last step was the handles. This is where I found the most difficulty because I really didn't know what to do. When I looked up simple strap making methods, they were usually designed for simple fabrics such as cotton and polyester, and that could not work for my faux leather. And the leather strap making methods that I had found were designed for real leather instead of faux leather, and real leather is very different from faux leather, so I also couldn't use that. So what I decided to do was just make a couple different variations of handles that I thought I might like, and then kind of map out what I wanted for my straps. One method that I thought would be very smart was shoving stuffing into the handle and making it sturdier and firmer, but instead it just made it look like a pool noodle, so I didn't really want that on my handles. What I ended up going with is what you can see right here on the right, and I made it very thin and very long. It was around 2.5 feet and about 1/2 inch wide. And on the ends of it, I decided to add gold buttons, not just to make sure it was sturdy and that the fabric wouldn't fray, but also to kind of align it with the vibe of my actual bag. I decided to attach my straps to my bag by using metal loops instead of just attaching it straight to the bag, just for, I don't know, what I wanted to do at that moment. But and this is my final result, and here are some videos of me sewing. And although it's definitely not perfect, I had a lot of fun making it, and yeah, it was definitely very hard and struggling, and as you can see in this video, I had to take it all apart and rip all the seams because I had messed up all my lining. But yeah. So overall, I think this bag is pretty good, and although it is definitely far from perfect, it was a much cheaper endeavor than buying a $1,000 bag. In total, this cost me around $150, which, as you know, is much less than $2,000 to $5,000. And yeah, I would like to give a big thanks to everybody who made this project possible. Mr. Smith for teaching me how to even make a bag and giving me the supplies needed to create it. Profe Prince for being my faculty sponsor and keeping me on track with all my deadlines and telling me and giving me ideas about what to even do for a senior project. Miss Amy and Mr. Phillips for helping not only me, but all of my classmates with their presentations, and my mom for always giving me harsh criticism and honest feedback about my bag, and my class and all of you for being here today. Without all of you, this project would not have been possible. And, sorry, I forgot to mention, if you haven't noticed, this is my bag, and yeah. Thank you so much. Are there any questions? Winona, do I plan to sew more in the future? I think so. I had actually a lot of fun making the bag, and I think I would really like to hone down my skills with this and maybe make even more bags. Yes. Sorry. Oh yeah, so did I use any internal stabilizers to make it stiffer? And the answer is yes. This might be a little embarrassing, but I didn't have anything else, so I just stuck a piece of cardboard in the bottom and then just sewed it into my lining. So if you could hear, it's like that. But yeah, that's what I used to kind of flatten out the bottom. Yes, Annie? Oh, would I ever make any more bags to sell to people? I would like to, but I don't know if I'm confident enough to like make something for someone else yet, but maybe in the future. Yes. Yeah, definitely. There are many things that I wanted to do that I couldn't. For example, one thing I wanted to do was, I don't know if you could see it, but in some of my bag inspiration pictures, like this one, you could kind of see like a braided style on the handle. And that's kind of what I wanted to do in the beginning, but because it was faux leather, the inside of it isn't like a leather texture. So it's hard to like braid something without the inside like fluff sticking out. So I couldn't really figure out how to handle that, but yeah. Yes, Heba. Um, I don't know, maybe some clothes. Yeah. Yes. Um, I'm guessing probably like 24 to 30, I would say. Yeah. Yes. Um, I would like to try out using real leather, but I think I chose faux leather just because I thought it might be a little easier for like a beginner to use. But yeah, I would like to try out real leather. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes, Dr. Stats. Thank you. Thank you. I like it too. Yes. Really? Okay, thank you. Yes. Oh, yes, of course. I will put this out on the table over there and yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.